Hello everyone, it is me Sasha Koi Cat, and in today's video I'll be redrawing my old characters. So I found a bunch of my old drawings and I wanted to do some updated designs for my old characters. We're gonna start off with a traditional drawing I did in 2013 of these two siblings. So let's get started. So let's get into the redesign. So I started off doing a drawing of these two characters that I designed like in 2013, and the first thing that I wanted to do was give them a sort of updated look that was more fantasy themed. I don't really know what I was going for with the original outfits, but I don't really like how they look. It's clear that I didn't put too much thought into it. The only thing I can remember from this original design is that I was really into dramatical murder at the time, and you can see that influence in the guy's design specifically. Like, I'm pretty sure that's Aoba from Dramatical Murder. That's literally the design of the main character. I can tell I really didn't have anything in mind when it comes to his sister's design. Like, this is very much a generic girl. I don't know. I think I was just really influenced by anime at the time, because I remember at one point I was really into anime and a lot of that was sort of really prominent within my art. To continue my walkthrough of the drawing process, I really wanted to change a lot about the original design because there's a lot of elements that I don't like. So initially when I started this drawing, I added a few extra details, like I added vines around the girl's legs to represent like plants, because I started thinking maybe she's like a plant, maybe she can control plants, I'm not sure. But I wanted to add like vines around her, and eventually I got rid of that and I gave her like a sort of laced up stocking thing. I don't know. But for the guy, I definitely changed a lot about his outfit specifically. Like, I don't really like the structure of his original outfit, and I wanted it to look more fantasy themed, though I'm not quite sure if I captured that vibe. So initially I gave both of them like belt loops with like pouches on them, but eventually I got rid of them, or at least for the girl specifically, I got rid of them. Once we got into stuff like the coloring, that's where things sort of get a little bit different with these designs. For the girl, you can see that I added this gradient to her hair that went from green to a light yellow at the end. And eventually I do end up changing that. And for the guy's design, I changed around a lot on his outfit, as I mentioned. But I do end up getting rid of certain things. Like, at one point I tried adding like the studded detail on his belt, and I was like, I actually really hate this, so I got rid of it. Once I got into stuff like the coloring, I really wasn't sure what I was doing with the color palette, and I did end up changing a lot with the colors. I remember I added this floral design on the girl's outfit that I ended up getting rid of. And I also remember that I went back and forth a lot on the shading because I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. You can see that in the end, it ends up being very simple. And I also changed the girl's color scheme back to the original drawing. Like, I wanted it to match the original more, so I ended up changing that around as well. And for the shading, it ended up being like very simple. I actually went back and forth a lot on the shading, and I had to cut some of that from the video because I thought it was taking up a bit too much time, so I ended up cutting all that. But I do like the simple sort of shading that I ended up settling with. I also added some elements to the designs that are similar to the original, because I realized that at some point it really wasn't looking like them. So the guy has like a checkered pattern on his sweatshirt, so I added that, and there's like a skull on his belt, but I didn't really like that, so I just put a skull on his pouch. I thought that would look fine. And yeah, that is the finished drawing. I really like how this one turned out. I really struggled with this one at first because I was really overthinking it, but in the end it turned out okay, and I really like the finished design. Please comment below and let me know what you think. Let's move on to the second drawing, which is an old drawing that kind of reminds me of my current avatar. This character is an anime type drawing I did earlier in my digital art journey. For this design, I get the impression that I wanted to draw her holding a soda can, but it obviously looks nothing like that. I can tell I didn't use a single reference for this drawing just based on that alone. I did this drawing in IBISPAINT X, which I really wasn't good at using at the time. There is very little contrast in her outfit. It's all just one flat color. I feel like I was very bad at coming up with outfits back then, and to be honest, I still am to an extent, but these days I use a lot of references when creating a character, and that really helps when it comes to anything relating to fashion. I have several art books that are specifically fashion related that I use very often. Her hairstyle is also very confusing, like I really didn't want to commit to drawing her braid. The art style for this is also very interesting because I can tell it was influenced by anime, and these days I'm not particularly fond of the typical anime style, but you can definitely still see traces of that earlier influence in my current art style. My shading was also very bad back then, and to be honest, I don't think I've improved that significantly in that area. I'm definitely better, but these days in order to draw more quickly, I cut out the shading altogether. I gotta say, it's really hard to look back at my old art, but I can tell that I put some effort into this drawing, and I'm actually pretty proud of that. For her hairstyle, I changed her hair from the very typical anime bangs that I gave her for whatever reason. I also gave her a complete braid and made her hair bubble a bit bigger because I thought it would stand out more. Her face in the original is very innocent looking, and I had a hard time capturing that look, but I tried my best to make her look kind of friendly since I think that's the vibe I was going for in the original. I really like drawing long eyelashes, so it's kind of odd to look back at the original and notice that she doesn't even have eyelashes. But anyway, her features are a lot more prominent in the redraw as well. She has very noticeable lips and an actual nose this time, unlike the original. For her outfit, I wanted to keep it very similar, so she's wearing the same type of top, just shorter. I changed her sweatshirt design a bit more, making it bigger with longer sleeves, as well as changing the color scheme a bit. I don't really like the checker design on the original, so this time I decided to make the inside of her hoodie purple while adding flowers on the outside. In the original drawing, everything is mostly pink, with the exception of the can that she's holding, which is purple. So I decided to keep that purple color and just add it to different parts of her outfit to make her color scheme more interesting. I also only added one flower on her top this time since her entire jacket is already covered in a bunch of flowers. You can't see her lower half in the original, but I wanted to draw a more complete outfit, so I gave her some purple shorts, which I think looks really cute. I played around with giving her some flower earrings, but in the end I decided they were too much, so I just gave her some little ones instead. I also changed the can from a cup because I thought it would look a lot better. For the original, I also used the stamp brush for the flowers because I was really bad at drawing flowers at the time, so I really relied heavily on the stamp brushes in IBISPAINT X. For this one, I drew the flowers myself because they aren't that complicated and look much better. The drawing process for this was certainly interesting because I ended up changing a lot. I did a rough draft for what I wanted the drawing to look like, but then I ended up changing most of it. But I think it was for the best. I used IBISPAINT again since it is my go-to drawing app. I went with a floral theme for the background, which I think looks really cute. Overall, I really like how this drawing turned out. I don't think I really changed that much, but I tried to do like an updated version that was still recognizable to the original, but had a bit more thought put into it. I really like how this one turned out. Please comment below and let me know what you think. If you like how this design looks, comment below and let me know. Let's move on to our final drawing. So to walk you through the drawing process of this character, for this one I wanted to do an updated drawing that was full body, but I ended up changing that because I didn't really like the pose that I was coming up with. This character is very old. I did this around 2015 and then I did an updated version in 2017, but then I didn't do anything else after that. So it's like 2024 now and I'm doing an updated version. But I really like this design. I can tell from the original that I was influenced by a certain artist. I can still remember who I was influenced by. And then at a certain point, I started to be influenced more by anime, which is why the second one looks the way it does. But I really like the character. I still think it looks really cute, and I didn't want to change too much on the design. I just wanted to make her outfit look a lot better. So for her outfit, I remember that I changed the pattern around a bit. So I added like this sort of vine element in the middle of her dress because I really like the sort of plant floral aesthetic that she has going on. I also added a lot more flowers on her design because I really like the flowers. In the original, I used a stamp brush for the flowers. I really relied heavily on stamp brushes in IBISPAINT X at one point because I just couldn't draw flowers, but I am a lot more confident in my flower drawing skills, so I drew the flowers myself. I also made a gem at the center of her dress a heart because I thought that would look more cute. In the very original drawing, the first drawing, she has a bunny beside her, which I think is a plushie, but I decided to add some bunnies but make them real this time. They're still very much like very cartoony and cute, but I really wanted to add it because I just thought it looked cute in the original, even if the drawing is a bit rough. I also kept the color scheme, even though I think it's a bit odd. Like the bunnies are pink with like a blue tail. I don't know why. I guess I just wanted to match the color scheme of the girl's design. For her updated design, I sort of based her hair more on the original as opposed to the second one I did in 2017 because I think the hair in the second one is actually worse. Like I don't really like how it looks. So I sort of based her hair more around the first one because I like the structure of it better, and the sort of big curls or big locks look a lot better in my opinion. For her color scheme, I kept it relatively the same, but I tried to make the colors a bit less saturated in certain areas, if that makes sense. Like I know a lot more about adding colors now, and I think the color scheme in the original needed a bit more contrast. Like the tones of the colors isn't that great. So I played around with that and tried to make that a lot better. I also went back to shading in this one. I mentioned previously that I sort of cut out the shading these days just so I can do my drawings more quickly, but I wanted to do like a complete drawing this time, so I did go back to shading. And usually when I shade, I usually get rid of all the layers. Like I turn them off and I just focus on adding shadows to like a blank canvas so I can see what I'm doing. And I use like a very bright brush, like a purple brush. And it really helps me a lot because shading is not really my thing, but I always have to try to, improve my art. So I have to get into it. But yeah, as for the rest of the drawing, I'm trying to think about what else I changed. Well, I changed her skin tone. That's pretty obvious. In the original, she's very pale, and I wanted to give her like a darker skin tone. I kind of went back and forth on this, actually. I preferred darker skin tone, but I did try to give her a lighter skin tone just to see what it would look like because I thought that would match the original more. But I did end up going back to the darker skin tone because I actually preferred it. So yeah, that's the one I settled with in the finished artwork. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this drawing. I really like how it turned out. Please comment below and let me know what you think. So those are all the characters. Please comment below and let me know what you think of these updated drawings. How do you think they turned out? Which one's your favorite? Comment below and let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like my art and you'd like to show your support, you can always donate to my Ko-fi account. The link to that is always in the description below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!